Hey, there it is. We're recording
Can
now.
Can you get varicose veins in your dick? Like, is that like you can get those anywhere? And it's just normal with the legs?
That there's not a reason that
That's
you
a
couldn't,
horrifying
but at
question.
the same time, like, fuck.
I mean,
that's horrifying. I would rather die. I'm putting
Jesus,
this out.
Okay.
Now, I don't want varicose penis. That sounds horrible.
It doesn't not sound horrible.
Dude got that varicose dick. Is that just like somebody that's in? Is that just somebody that's into like gilfs?
Oh,
like,
God.
Which is fine. Do whatever you want, but an expert in geriatric gyration.
No.
Hey, you want to go back to my room and break a hip?
Takes 5 steps. Who are you? Why are you following me?
I made myself sad.
Oh, God. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people.
Only if you like dark
from
humor.
all walks of life, people from all shadow spawn, creatures from all creepy crawlies of life. We here at the Black Tower Podcast welcome you because we dispense our taints without bias. We love all of you equally and want all of you to receive the taint. And so line up single file as the Black Tower Podcast dispenses the appropriate amount of your weekly dose of taint this year. From all of us here, I am Josh, your Sorovan Mahale.
I am Andrew, your Bijan Mahale. The bees don't roll as well.
Speaking of Bijan.
And I am Daniel, your Amin Khan Mahale. And one thing that I want to say is I think Andrew's in the right place because you know what's the similarity between dark humor and kids in the Make-A-Wish Foundation?
Oh,
never gets old.
God,
there you go.
Hey, there it is.
Hey, we have a new accolade.
Fantastic start.
We have a new accolade that nobody else in the Wheel of Time content creators section can claim. We've been canceled by Make-A-Wish. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I mean, until one of the kids goes, I want to meet the 3 guys from the Black Tower Podcast.
I mean, they did the same thing with Daniel Tosh, and he made plenty of fun of everything. So. But we're happy to be back here in another week. Getting together and talking to each other is only half the fun. Getting to talk with all of you, especially those of you that are listening live. If you're not listening live, you should be, because we record every Tuesday for the most part. Sometimes we record other days, but we let everybody know when that's happening. But if you want to get in all the tainty fuckery that happens every Tuesday around 8 p.m. Eastern, head on over to blacktowerpod.com, and there's a nice little button that says Patreon. You can click that to find our Patreon, and for just $1 a month, you do get access to our live recordings in our Discord, and we have a whole lot of fun. Our Discord is fun, but our Patrons are in a league of their own. Yeah. So you're missing out if you're not at least able to see the live recording discussion. It's nonstop riot laughter for the most part.
Yeah.
The only time it's not is whenever everybody's busy.
People listening live, tell them what they're missing out on right now. Yeah. See how can you get any better than that? It's a
Oh, what's
It's a
that?
testimony from
You didn't hear anything?
What?
Oh, you have to be a patron to unlock that segment of audio. Once you become a patron, the settings are forwarded.
EA.
Once you become a patron, we remotely upgrade or change the group policies on your computer, and then you can hear that audio track. So somebody somewhere, somewhere was just like, all I heard was Black Tower Podcast is going to mess with my computer. They're going to. But anything that has to do with us, you can find on blacktowerpod.com, which brings me to our next point, a little bit of housekeeping, a little bit of PSA for those of you that do things in the public space where people may try to contact you. Now is a good time to recheck your contact information, your Discord invite links, because they do, even when you set them to not expire, occasionally they do still expire or get removed by accident. So go and check all of your stuff. And as is generally good practice, make sure that your contact information, especially if you have official business contact information, is really in your face, readily accessible, easy to find for anybody that may try to contact you. With that being said, we have seen a couple times throughout the years where people have tried to contact us and accidentally emailed the wrong emails or whatever the case may be like that.
Wrong people,
so yeah, this was a good moment to remind everybody our only email address is blacktowerpod@gmail.com. If you get an email from any other email address or send it to any other email address, we will not see it, and it is not from us. And in addition to that, if you do email blacktowerpod@gmail.com and anybody other than myself, Andrew, Josh, or Daniel responds, it is not us. So don't trust that communication, because we are the only three. If it does
come from a man named Aaron, know that he will have already sent it to us, and that's fine, but he will almost guaranteed not contact you back.
Yeah. Aaron is the asterisk caveat. Aaron always has the ability to do this. Generally, he doesn't, and he leaves everything to us and enjoys retirement as a retired Mahale. But yeah. So Black Tower Pod.
If it's anybody besides the three of us, don't listen to it. If it's Aaron, he'll send it in the right direction.
Yeah. And it's even easier to just to send us a message and tag us in the Discord too, if you're worried about that. But
also true.
That's true. Yeah, so just a general PSA and
on Twitter,
Facebook. Check all of your stuff. You can you know where to find us, and if you don't know where to find us, blacktowerpod.com has all of our contact information. All the socials are in buttons on the left-hand side if you're on desktop. They're somewhere on mobile. I just don't know where, because I haven't been on mobile for it in a long time. But yeah, so there's that. blacktowerpod.com again for anybody that didn't hear it. Also watcon.com, very brief thing, because it's not our plug. It's not our plug for this episode, but definitely go and check out watcon.com. We are less than 2 months away from a Wheel of Time focused convention called WatCon. We'll all be there. There's going to be a ton of people there. There's going to be some fantastic guests and people there. We look forward to hopefully seeing all of you there. But the people that are our plug for this episode, and no, I don't mean they hand us things in little plastic baggies, but they are kind enough to,
or that they put us stuff in.
You mean to tell me the man who tried to put the rubber fist in my asshole? Anyway,
that's your movie quote for the day.
Yeah, we're gonna stop the quote there. I don't want anybody to feel offended by that.
Yes, indeed.
So the people that are kind enough to help us help you make sure you are as energized as you can be and do as the W slogan says and be better. That's who we're plugging this episode. W.gg is their website. There's a link down below in the show notes and description to get you 10% off your orders on W Energy if it's not already discounted. And you might want to go ahead and look at ordering now, because we did just get a text today that they are close to running out of stock again, and it's definitely understandable because W has a new flavor.
Correct.
This is Peach and Beach. Peach and Beach. It is, I just had this the other day. It is a mango white peach cooler flavor. It is absolutely delicious. Like,
Yeah?
guys, I'm bringing this to WatCon if you don't get to try it before, so that you can try it. It is that damn good. Like,
Nice.
energy and a mixer. It's like Red Bull and vodka, but like without the jitters of the Red Bull.
Nice.
I don't know how soluble this is in alcohol, but we're going to find out. But
Rubber Dubby, you're the one.
but
You
it
make
is
energy
delicious.
Lots of fun. Rubber
Again,
Dubby, you're my very best friend. It's true.
I hate every second of this. You do it very well, but I hate every second of this. Yeah. But
Continue.
Dubby prides themselves on not using artificial colors, artificial flavors, not using anything that's going to give you the jitters. Their biggest thing is jitterless energy blend. It is fantastic. As long as you take the recommended dosage, you don't have to worry about jitters from our experience. That being said, all of us like late nights, 2 of us are veterans, so we're a little skewed on the caffeine tolerability spectrum. But I've never heard any complaints.
All 3 of us are definitely skewed on that. I might not be
Yeah.
a veteran, but I drank like one.
Yeah. So definitely go and check them out. Use as recommended, as Jessica Sadai said here in the live chat. It is fantastic, really good flavors. So yeah, 10% off using either code BTP, that is B as in boy, T as in truck, P as in plant. Yeah, use that. Or you can just click the link down below. That's enough about W, because I've said the same thing like 6 times because I'm not very good at plugs unless I script it beforehand. But go and check that out. Anyway,
Or
moving.
maybe B like Bravo, T like Tango, and P like Papa.
See, I started to do that, but I felt like it would
like
lean too
tag,
heavily into the veteran thing.
Nah.
And like we're already accused of being so many things. I didn't want to be accused of us being like trying to get the sympathy vote for veteran status shit or whatever. Like, somebody out there will do it. Somebody out there does everything.
Then again, Andrew, one thing that I will definitely say here is, I know that you know this. I know that Josh knows this. But anyone out there who's wondering, this is going to be the bring it down for just a moment. Not like down, blah, 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 but like just like be real for just a minute. You are a person. You get to be unique. You get to be interesting. You get to be whoever it is that you feel like you are. I am not saying that there's going to be every single person who out there who respects you for being that person, but you should definitely be that person, because anybody who doesn't respect you enough to allow you to be that person, they need to reevaluate their choices and their life, not you. So, you know what? Let your veteran
and rethink your life.
Right? Let your veteran freak flag fly. And if somebody goes ahead and decides that there's a problem with that, there's a lot of other people who have firearms training and such who will have a problem with them as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to affect me because the only thing I care about, I get the first of every month. So
there you go.
Well, and also I get free use of the commissary, and even as a contractor, since I have a VA card, I can buy liquor on base. So can you buy liquor on base? If not, go kiss my ass. So, it is what it is.
But
we are not built the same.
We are not built the same. But you didn't hear us come talk about veterans. You didn't come here to talk to have us talk about taint. I mean, you did, but not necessarily. You
For
didn't
the taint, but not for Dubby.
You didn't come here to have us talk about being yourself, though that's also, again, sort of part of it. What you did come here to have us talk about is Wheel of Time, because we are a Wheel of Time podcast. We are gentlemen who sit around and talk about all things Robert Jordan, all things Wheel of Time, all things Rand Land and beyond. So, before we actually tell you the specific Wheel of Time topic that we are going to get into this week, why don't we go ahead and roll that spoiler condom on to make sure that we don't fuck anything up even while we are talking about the topic.
The Black Tower stands fully erect.
When the tower is bulging at full erectness, you must protect yourself from tainty spoilers.
Your spoiler condom must cover the immense girthiness of all 14 books of Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time.
With an itty bitty tip at the top for the prequel New Spring.
If your condom is too small, you will get tainty spoiler jizz all up in your eye.
Or ears. You have been warned.
Excellent.
There we go. There's
All
a
right.
warning.
So, Josh, do you know what we're talking about today?
I do.
I would
yeah.
hope so. It was the
Indeed.
partial
Do you
bane
know
of our
what we're talking
existence
about?
while we were in service.
Yeah. Andrew, do you know what we're talking about today?
Yes, I do. This is actually one of mine.
Excellent. Indeed.
Is it? Yes, it is.
This
It
is today we are discussing customs and courtesies in the Wheel of Time. Now, stick with us for a second because we know this is an incredibly broad topic.
Like that broad? Or like that
like-
broad?
Like parents'
Or like-
shoulders broad. Okay.
Damn.
Damn, boy.
Like,
you
It's as broad as the gap between Lan doing his duty and abandoning his duty.
Wow.
Fuck.
Which his duty, he's so stuck to his duty that in the TV show we got to see his patootie. Ha ha.
Hey, there you go.
Support me on
Duty-
SoundCloud
duty
for more
patootie.
amazing rap lyrics such as that.
Indeed. As we
Pod #1 hit, Duty Patootie.
as you may have heard before, this topic tonight is going to be thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. Dear God.
Very good. So, for those of you that I hate that GIF automatically.
No.
I hate it. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Damn it, smack. Anyway, so for those of you that
For those of you who
are
don't know what we're
either
laughing at, it's live chat.
yeah. For those of you that were
It's Josh and I creating a rap song.
So for those of you that have had military members in your family or been around a bunch of military members or maybe signed on the dotted line yourself, customs and courtesies is that word that makes sergeant majors and other E8s and above everywhere very excited. Every brand new second lieutenant very excited. And everybody else goes, this is some bullshit. With very noble origins, but active current bullshit in some circumstances, like saluting people when you're deployed overseas is some bullshit. You know, it's not a real deployment. You get yelled at for not saluting somebody.
There it
Clapping
is.
at myself there. But customs and courtesies in the military, at least the U.S. military, is kind of just like a standard of the way that service members interact during everyday life and during certain situations. The saluting of officers is a customs and courtesies thing, and it harkens back to medieval knights that whenever they met another knight to show respect, they would raise the visor on their helmet. So that's where saluting comes from, and we carry that tradition to this day to salute officers as a sign of respect for their position. And it doesn't matter if they're great or terrible officers, you still have to salute them or they get really angry. Not all of them, but
Yeah.
Well, and of
You're
course,
also
sometimes
listening.
it is. Sometimes it is saluting the office, not the actual person who holds it.
And that's what I was just going to say. Regardless of the person behind the insignia, there is respect for the rank itself.
Correct.
So, but yeah.
Yeah.
But
But within that, there's customs and courtesies for funerals, for change of command ceremonies, for passive parades, which is where you're marching a parade and your unit is going by the reviewing officials that are watching over, which are typically like generals, governors, kind of mayor sometimes if it's a small enough area. presidents, whatever. If look at like France's Independence Day parade, that's a really good example. But it's all the different things that are part of a culture that are kind of prescribed, followed, whether written or just by word of mouth, social kind of conventions of how people interact in specific situations and manners. And if you've read the entire series, which you should have if you're still listening, you probably immediately went to the IL like I generally do. And you can think of the litany of cultural kind of just customs and courtesies they have, everything from the laying of the bridal wreath. Go ahead.
Asking a roof mistress leave to enter her hold, which is not a euphemism, but sounds like one.
I mean, I imagine that in IEL culture, you would also do that. But yes.
You bring her a very beautiful gift and you say, roof mistress, may I have leave to enter your hold? And she's like, yeah, boy, get up in here. Or
Daddy,
she's like,
sorry, Daddy. Yes.
Or she's like, if she's not impressed with you, she's like,
no. I will keep this gift, but no.
Yeah. So speaking of that, that's one of the first things I wanted to go to, with IO culture being a good example of some customs and courtesies, is the asking of roof mistresses permission to enter the hold. Yes. And one of the fun or more enjoyable scenes for me is whenever Rand and Ruark and starts with a H, Huron, are all approaching Leanne's hold and Cold Rock's hold. And what Rand by custom was supposed to do was echo what Ruark said, because Ruark is a full clan chief, where Huron is not, I believe. Don't quote me on that because I'm often wrong. If somebody wants to look that up and confirm, oh, Morshadi's here. Morshadi, am I right or wrong? Huron, Heirin, to fact check me on that. But either way, what Rand was supposed to do is he was supposed to approach and basically verbatim reiterate how Ruark asked permission to enter Cold Rock's hold or into Leanne's roof. But what he did instead was follow after.
Huron is a clan chief.
Oh, is he? Oh, maybe because Ruark is her husband?
He's chief of the Jindo sept.
Okay. Well, it might have been because Ruark and Leanne are from the same sept, so there was a kind of specific.
Oh, he's a sept chief, not a
clan chief. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. So it's
Rand.
Yeah.
Rand was supposed to ask as if he is a clan chief, being the Karakard, but instead he asked as if he was a steppe chief, a sept chief, not a step chief.
Oh no, step chief! What are you doing?
But when it happens, it's such an obvious aspect of the IL culture that everybody is shocked. Ruark is very worried instantly. Leanne is kind of shocked and is like, whatever. Because what he did
is quite intimate of you, sir.
Yeah, because he only asked leave to come beneath her roof, rather than what Ruark asked, where I just had it and I am dumb because I've lost it already.
Oh, good.
So Ruark greeted Leanne with the formal words, I ask leave.
Asking.
Andrew had it. Go ahead.
Okay.
You grabbed it. Go ahead. Yeah.
So Ruark greets her with formal words and says, I ask leave to enter your hold, roof mistress. Whereas Huron says, roof mistress, I ask leave to come beneath your roof. So the sept chief asks only leave to come beneath the roof, whereas Ruark, as a full clan chief, asks leave to enter the hold entirely. And so Rand asks, like the sept chief does, for leave to come beneath the roof, which I really like the way Leanne reacts, because she says, such modesty is becoming in a man. Men seldom know where to find it. And then she, in an effort to appease Rand, because Rand did bow, which is also not a part of the IO customs for this, she attempts a curtsy. to try to reciprocate the modesty and and this the honor or the G that he has shown to Leanne by asking in such a modest manner. And she responds with, the Caracarn has leave to enter my hold. For the chief of chiefs, there is ever water and shade at Cold Rocks. So that's a massive honorific.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's essentially you don't have to ask ever again. You always have leave for water and shade.
Well,
let me say, I am going to give advice here. This is the Daniel gives advice point of the episode for just a moment. I personally do this, and it is typically very well received, as well as I appreciate when other people do this, and I receive it very well. I will regularly tell other people that they don't ever need to ask again and that they're always welcome. And then every time they come over, they still ask. And it's great. It's fantastic. Keep doing that. Because even if somebody has told you to always make yourself welcome, they don't necessarily always mean that, or at the very least, they always appreciate it when you do regardless. So anytime Rand shows up at Cold Rock's Hold, I really hope that he asks again.
Yeah, it's like the joke about like a regular friend comes into your house and asks if they can have something to eat. Your best friend is there waiting for you when you get home and already has eaten half your cupboard.
Yep, bingo, exactly. 100%.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, that's one of the first examples that jumped out to me.
Are you like super from the South? Because
I'm not gonna lie, like,
you can come inside and have some iced tea. It sounds extremely Southern. I'm
not gonna lie, like I resonated with that comment so much.
Yeah, no, it was great.
It's a good one.
But
anyway,
I bring that one up because it's not terribly long after that scene in the books that Couladin has stormed off with the rest of the Shido IL. Everybody presumes he's going to meet Savannah. And there's this thing where Rand is like, well, we should go and deal with this. Like, they can't have a month to sway the other IL against me. And Ruark and everybody else is like, well, you sent the summons here. Honor dictates and customs dictate that we wait here for all those that will arrive.
Yes.
And Rand's response, I love, because he looks at Ruark and says, there are no customs to cover me, Ruark. I have to make new customs.
Yep.
And it's like, he kind of, in that moment, he kind of throws some of their own words back at them. Because there's a lot of questions he asks about him being, he who comes with the dawn, the Caracorn, the chief of chiefs. That, well,
they give him a lot of these. They give him a lot of,
yeah,
we're not sure.
We've never had one before, so we don't quite understand what to do with you. But also,
you kind of.
Or Shadi, if you're saying something about my pronunciation, you can kiss both my left and right ass cheeks.
Yep. And also, right. Josh is in mine, you dickhole.
You're kind of not a chief, but
we also love
kind of a chief. But you're also kind of more of a chief.
Well, and I also love how, like, again, in Aiel culture, like, this is one of the things that I love about this particular topic, as well as just Robert Jordan's world building, as well as the Aiel in general, just all of it wrapped up into one, is the Aiel are probably the greatest example of customs and courtesies in the Wheel of Time. And I swear that Robert Jordan really did just take all of his military service and just be like, cool, I'm going to make all of that into a culture that's dope as fuck. Like, seriously. And so again, the Aiel have these wonderful things along the lines of, a clan chief is the leader of a clan. That's what happens. We all agree that the clan chief is someone who leads the clan. However, they are not a king. They are not a god. They also have people that they are beholden to. There are checks and balances within the Aiel clan that allows a clan chief to make decisions that need to be made, but also keep them honest. And so regularly there is this sort of idea of Rand as the Karakarn, as the chief of chiefs, is still beholden to a lot of that stuff. It still does not make him a god. It still does not make him able to look at all of the Aiel in every situation and say, you will do what I'm telling you to do. They go, you're just an elevated clan chief, you dickhole. We're still going to be able to have those checks and balances. We're still going to be able to do those things that make sure that you don't get stupid, even though you are the prophesied elevated chief. And I have always really, really, really appreciated that about the Aiel, because I think that that is an incredible way to deal with things. And again, it's a really sort of balanced way to run a society, even though it does kind of regularly open up the floodgates for like, okay, so what am I allowed to do? And they go, I mean, some of this and some of that,
Just
but also not
dick.
some of this and some of yeah. And so it's I don't know. I think Robert Jordan did an amazing job of communicating all of that without it being overwhelming. Josh, you love.
And I really love where you're going with this, because, and I love that we're starting with the Aiel, because when it comes to customs and courtesies, I think Robert Jordan really enjoyed writing G.E.T.O. and all of the different customs and courtesies of the Aiel, because they just seem so outlandish to a lot of us. Ruark asking Leanne to come under her hold. They're married.
Enter her hold.
Gentlemen, enter. Yes. Gentlemen, imagine
Who
if
are
you
you,
will for a
Rand?
moment. You come home from work and you knock on your front door and you say, my lady, please let me in the door every day. Like, this is their life. This is how they live.
As it should be.
And it's so ingrained into who they are that, you know, we'll talk about the dark side of G.E.T.O. Savannah is an example of a wise one. She is a wise one. And she has been taught and trained that as the wise one, you make the call. You are the one who gets to decide whether or not we're going to do this thing or not. And basically the rules kind of fall down to, if it works, then you did the right thing. And if it doesn't work, well, then you did the wrong thing. So even in this like extremely rigid society of, may I have leave to enter your hold, blah, 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 that they observe vehemently, you can still have people that are kind of going off the rails and being like, well, it is close enough. Well, we did this. But even Savannah and Couladin, I think you can make an argument for they were following G.E.T.O. They just they bet on the wrong horse, essentially. You know,
well, and of course, I think that's a really good thing that you just brought up there. I would say is that there is a good reason that there is a phrase out there that says that the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yes.
I think that Couladin and Savannah, in so many ways, probably really knew that what they were doing wasn't the right thing to do. But
at one point
we like to vilify the Shido a lot. And again, I don't think that that's completely out of bounds, but I think that a lot of the Shido were probably doing what they thought was right under G.E.T.O. And it's really hard to be bad or to be mad at all of the Shido in every case, because I really do think that a lot of them felt that they were following G.E.T.O. We just know as the audience that they were clearly not, because we have information they don't. And we have, you know, the winners get to write the history books. All of that different stuff is accurate. But at the end of the day, I really do think that the Shido were they misunderstood what they were supposed to be doing, but not because they were immediately tossing out the rules. They were just misinterpreting what those rules should have been. Andrew.
I mean, so yeah, good segue. And as I was like, oh, here's my idea or my thoughts. I think where the majority of the IO that we see at Cold Rocks that do answer the summons and the ones that do come and join them later show very much an adherence to tradition, where Couladin has already grossly broken tradition. Whether you want to say it's through the manipulation of the Forsaken, through Savannah's manipulation of Couladin, or whatever, he's already perverted traditions, customs, and courtesies already massively, and incurred an astronomical amount of toll by falsifying not one, but 2 dragon tattoos on his arms, marking him also as the Harakorn.
In the same fashion.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, which is interesting because that means that it was Asmodean that did that, I believe.
Correct. Right? Yes, it was 100% Asmodean.
So that means that not only, well, I mean, it's easy. He could have just seen it on one person's arm and be like, oh, it's just that, but mirrored on the other side too.
Sure.
But the Shido, whether you want to take it as a virtue of them fully believing Couladin's lie and Savannah's lie, if they even truly believe it is a lie. Sure. Because if you didn't know what happened in Ruidion prior, you didn't know that you didn't go in and meet the sketchy dude that fucking like tattoos your arm. Like, I just picture Asmodean with like a haircut kind of like mine. He's got tattoos all over his head and his arms, fucking like gauges everywhere, piercings everywhere, and he's just like, so bro, how's it going? You're doing really good in this sit. Just fucking with a tattoo gun. We think it was magic, but it's just like it's just Asmodean really sitting there with like a fucking tattoo gun and a pedal.
A little difficult.
We're about to go right over your wrist, bro. It's gonna sting a little bit. Just bear with me. We'll be done soon.
Bruh, the day I give up on my dreams of being an actor, I'm getting like 4 tattoos, and I hope to go to a guy who's just the most ridiculous looking fuck, because I know that guy's gonna give me amazing tattoos.
I hope you go up to like a guy and he's like, yeah, my name's Brian, but all my friends call me Asmodean. How's it going, bro?
Oh man, I would never go to anyone else for a tattoo ever again. I'd be like, "You're my guy."
To LA immediately. To go to that guy.
I'd fly you to LA.
Yeah. But anyway,
what's interesting is, I was just going to say, as we're kind of talking about the darker side of Jiito, what is the option for the Shido clan? Wise One says this. Clan chief, I mean, we have no reason to not believe him. He's got 2 golden dragons. We have no reason not to believe him. What's the alternative?
Well,
it's not like you can just be like, you know what, Shido are a bit rubbish. I think I'll go be Jindo today.
Well, they also have the perfect setting because they have a Wise One and her like underling or compatriot Wise Ones all saying the same thing, who they've been taught their entire life to trust. They have Couladin, who was in line to be the clan chief, as far as they know, goes to Ruidion, does everything legitimately, comes back marked as the Harakorn.
Yes.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, they have no necessary reason to believe that they are in the wrong. And then you have this wonderful opportunity for Couladin and Savannah and the rest of the the Shido Wise Ones to say, look at what they're all doing. I break all bonds. I break all ties. I break all tradition.
Yeah.
They're still following tradition. They are obviously wrong. So it sets up that the good guys actually wind up being the perfect bad guys to the bad guys that think they're good guys.
Well, and that's one thing that I actually wanted to throw out there is that, Josh, you actually make a really, really good point about all of the naturally Shido. And by naturally, I just mean the people who are of clan Shido.
This is all natural Shido, my friend.
There you go. The ones who are already Shido clan as all of this was happening, completely
I'm
agree.
Shido, you're Shido adjacent. We are built.
Then
I'm
you
a
end up.
shied hoe.
Wow. All right. Please stop. I can't. I cannot. No, but there is an interesting thing there, because I even include all of the Aiel who run away from their own clans to join the Shido in my. We should give them a lot of shit, but also we shouldn't give them very much shit. Kind of like comment earlier about.
Yes.
As you said, I think that you had the words that you just used were actually a really good. Actually, I think it was Andrew. Sorry, it was a combination, but also I think the
One of
words
them
that
fucking
were
guys
from Andrew was the you
Power.
just broke a bunch of tradition. Here are the Shido who, at the very least, appear to be following tradition as closely as possible. I can't handle you breaking tradition. I'm going to go join them. Which again it's really rough, because when it comes right down to it, they're doing what they think is right. Now, as I said, as an audience, we know immediately that they are not, because of course, again, in Cold Rocks, when Couladin does his whole like, that's not true, that's impossible thing after Rand says the whole thing about the Aiel not having always been warriors.
You mean
Savannah
after him
is
not spilling?
like,
he doesn't spill the beans. He spills the bean.
yeah, no, he flicks all of the bean. And then Couladin is like, buddy, that's a lie. And Savannah's standing there being like, fuck, Couladin, keep your dumb mouth shut. You're gonna get all of us caught, you dumb fuck. Like,
well, and that's what I love about it is the other clan chiefs and wise ones immediately know who went to Ruidian and who did not.
There is such a collective
until that point, there's questions.
Heel clench. Like, seriously.
there's such a like, it's like an instant collective like, oh shit. When prior to that, like, they were like, Couladin, Rand. We don't fucking know. We're gonna stand on ceremony, and it's going to be our customs and courtesies that allow cooler heads to prevail, and we're gonna get to the bottom of this by holding to what we know, which is Jiuto. And that's good enough for a lot of people. The vast majority of Aiel. It's
the vast majority.
Yeah. So before we get into this being just an IL customs and courtesies, because they definitely have plenty to go through, and there's no way we're going to get through all of them. Is there another custom or courtesy that sticks out? And I will not be mad if anybody steals my next one from Chapter 8 of the Great Hunt.
Oh shit!
I will go next, and the answer is I will definitely not steal your thing.
Damn it!
The thing that I was going to bring up is the Ebu Dari customs and courtesies, because I actually think that parallels very well to the Aiel customs and courtesies, because of course, again, in the Aiel culture, it is still sort of a male-dominant culture. There are clan chiefs, and they are sort of the head of the society to a certain extent, or at least that is my reading of. And the wise ones are sort of on even footing, but also maybe not, but also yes. And then you have roof mistresses.
Say that in front of a wise one.
Yeah, I would say that in front of a wise one. Challenge me. Challenge accepted. Hold my beer. No, but at the same time, again,
R.I.P. Daniel. We're gonna put together a fund for flowers to his funeral.
No, but as far as my reading of it, ostensibly it is a male at the top society, even though they have women immediately under them. And so again, it's not actually male driven, but it is also technically male driven. Like if you drew the map,
there's a balance there.
Yeah, agreed. And that's again what I love about Aiel culture. I fucking love it. But in Abu Dar, it's actually really interesting because it's almost exclusively a female-dominated culture. And the women wear the marriage knives, and they walk around with the power in so many ways. And so again, that's a situation where I love sort of the customs and cultures, or the customs and courtesies of how you deal with women in Abu Dar and how they deal with you, and the different things that you. This is another thing where okay, I'm going to say this as somebody who's never actually been in the military. I don't know whether this would count as customs and courtesies, but the different medals and different insignias and different everything that an officer wears tells you a lot about who they are and what they've done and their rank and things like that. I don't know if that necessarily counts as customs and courtesies, but I really like that sort of similar piece of it being the marriage knives in Abu Dar, where you actually walk up to someone and you know a lot about the life that they've lived by looking at the different things on their marriage knife, and you know better how to address them and how to deal with them and how to talk about things that have been happening in their life based on the information that you get immediately from their marriage knife.
So it is definitely qualifier as a custom, because it is the custom of awards. And with the exception of some awards, like the one that jumps off the page to me is the Medal of Honor. Like that one has courtesies dictated built in. Like you see somebody wearing it around like on their dress, or they have like the ribbon on, or whatever. Like automatically, like there's a general in the room and there's a Medal of Honor recipient in the room. Fuck the general, Medal of Honor recipient, because there's a lot less of those than there are generals. Like respect to the general, but like you're number 2 at this point.
Yes.
Well, and that feels very much similar to me as far as the marriage knives in Abu Dar, especially when you get up into the I hate her. We all hate her to a certain extent. But Tylin is actually someone with a marriage knife that tells you a lot about who she is. And as soon as the Wonder Girls walk in to go ahead and talk to her, she actually tells them a lot about herself by what she's wearing and the phrases that she says. Because immediately she actually talks to them very familiarly and says the phrase, "Sit back on your knife and be free." Or sorry, sit back on your knife and let your tongue be free. That's the phrase. And it's it's very, that to me is very customs and courtesies. And as I said, as someone with no military background, please tell me if I'm getting that wrong, but it definitely feels very customs and courtesies, even if it's not.
Right.
Go ahead, Josh.
So I was just going to say, so custom is, sort of the appropriate thing to do in a social setting, right? So when she says, sit back on your knife and let your tongue be free, she is following custom by allowing people to speak freely. It's basically her saying, you guys are cool. I like you. Feel free to say whatever you want. We're toit. A courtesy is a behavior that is prompted based on someone's level of rank, level of honor, level of position, level of whatever the case may be. So that's why, Andrew and I were talking about sooner. It doesn't matter if the officer is an absolute shithead. You still render salute.
You mean if most of the officers are total shitheads?
I mean, no, there.
It depends on where you are in the officers
out there.
I believe you. There are also some very good managers out there, but we all know that for the most part.
Right. So no, you're absolutely 100% correct that this is a custom. and it is customary for the host to be benevolent, but Tylen's taking it a step further and saying, no, you guys are cool, I like you, like seriously, I am following the custom of telling you that you're cool and you can talk freely to me. It's almost like free speech unlocked. That's the key.
Permission to speak
that
freely.
says now you can speak freely. Yeah, permission to speak freely, sir. That kind of thing. So yeah,
at ease, soldier.
If the person is able to tell you at ease, it's never really at ease.
Of course.
For the most part, unless it's like a
with
part
all
of
due respect, sir.
Yeah. I always viewed customs and courtesies, like a little bit different, not entirely different. Okay. That for me, and at least I guess the way I understood it, which could very well be wrong. Definitely, customs
Andrew,
are.
I'm going to interrupt you for a moment and say, no, you're not wrong. An interpretation is not wrong. It's just unique. But yes, sure. I do appreciate what you said, but also I think you were probably right, and I would like to hear what it is. So now I will stop interrupting you and let you answer the question.
Yeah. For me, like customs always came off more as things that are done because they're part traditional. They're more formulaic. They're a little bit more rigid in their roles and rules. And it's something that you do prompted off of a situation where custom dictates that, like, this is what you are supposed to do because of this. Where courtesy, where it could still fall into much the same realm because, like, it can very much be situationally dictated. There's also segments of courtesy that are to certain extents optional. That it gives you some varying degree of respect you want to show to individuals. So, like, what's a good example of an optional courtesy? Like, so a custom would be if you see an officer, you have to walk towards them and render a salute. That would be like a custom. It's kind of rigid. You have to do that.
Within reason.
Within reason. I'm saying, like, that would be that's not what you have to do. But what I'm saying, that would be a custom where if you notice an officer, you have to walk towards them. But what you'll see a lot of times is a lot of people that would have to salute officers, if there is an alternate route of travel that they can take before they're reasonably within range where they would have to salute an officer, or it's clear they're avoiding the officer, they will take that route to avoid having to do the salute. Right. Whereas a courtesy is if you come across an officer and you are not an officer or you're a lower ranking officer in your travels out and about and around, that you do render the salute. Something that's more customary, if you're in a room and a higher ranking officer enters the room, you have to call the entire room to attention or whatever the case is. That's more
at
of
a
a custom
certain rank. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, like, everything Josh said is still very much valid and very much true. It's just I have a slightly different delineation between custom and courtesy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which can be summarized in courtesy
about all of this, which is great. I'm sure that a number of our listeners are as well. So I'm fucking loving this.
Which, to summarize it, custom is more like if X then Y, whereas courtesy is more if X then Y.
Yeah.
Like there's more vagueness and leeway in a courtesy because you're doing it to be courteous, not because you have to. It's seen as a courteous gesture. You're doing it to show optional or like relatively optional respect.
I think a good example of a courtesy is as a veteran, as a civilian, I am under no obligation to greet or pay respect to officers that I come across while I'm at the shopette or while I'm at, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Where's my salute? In the file cabinet with my DD-214.
Those.
I'm sorry.
Will say.
Is this the one you're looking for? Is this the salute that? Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. I didn't mean.
The freedom salute. No, I will still I will still afford some manner of respect for the rank. I will still say,
Sure.
good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. Something along those lines, just to be courteous. That is 100% a courtesy. It is not required of me. It is not expected of me. It is something I offer to them to show them that I do respect the position that they hold.
Can I also just say, again, I was never in the military and maybe I would have a different feeling about this, but anyone who actually has to say the phrase, "Where is my salute?"
Oh, no.
I
No, you
already
immediately
am
lose
done with
all.
you. I'm anyone who would actually say that phrase rather than make sure that they are the kind of person who actually deserves a salute the next time they see you is the wrong kind of officer.
So, fun fact, quick tangent. Quick tangent on like where there are caveats.
I was going to go on a tangent.
Well, you could be tangent number 2. I've made no secret of what I did while I was in the Air Force. I was security forces, military police. And there was a caveat to our profession that if rendering customs and courtesies interfered with the performance of our duties, we were to delay customs and courtesies to perform duties.
Yes.
And that's generally standard across the board. If you're in the middle of like, loading live ordnance on an aircraft, you don't drop it to salute the pilot as he comes out. So the same thing would happen with
100%.
us. If we had a building alarm, like an alarm was going off, and I wasn't allowed to let anybody enter the building, and I called people over, and I was, shouting at somebody to come over here, or saying like motion for someone to come over, and it's an officer that just like looked at me, waved, and kept going. I was well within my right to be like, to shout at them and be like, "Hey, you here now." Now, when they came over and I inevitably saw the full bird on their shoulder, was there a little bit of a pucker factor? Yeah. Because they can make your life shit just for the sake of making your life shit. But,
yes,
that was a place where, because I was performing official duties until I had like their common access card in hand, customs and courtesies were suspended because I'm performing an official duty. Now, once everything's settled and everything, they're like, hey, sir, whatever. But that's pretty standard, I think, across all branches. Like your customs and courtesies will never take precedent over the completion of the mission. And that's one of the big things there. Which is why I kind of resonate with the early example of Rand being like, well, there are no customs to cover me. Like, he's prioritizing duty and what needs to be done over customs and courtesy.
Rand prioritizing duty? Say it isn't so.
I blame Lan.
I also blame Lan. I mean, in the best possible way, but I also still blame Lan.
But sorry, Josh, you had a tangent.
So there was in Master and Commander, there was an officer who lost the respect of the people underneath them. And at one point in time, he walks by and one of the people, they don't salute to him, and he doesn't say anything about it. And the captain sees this, and now the captain's pissed. The captain of the ship says, you passed by a man who didn't pay you your obedience and you said nothing. Why? And he's like, he was a weak officer. And after the sailor who failed to salute this person was flogged, then he comes down and everybody gets in his face and, hey, salute, salute, salute. I don't want to get flogged. Hey, salute, 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 buddy. And that's immediately what I thought of is, Daniel, when you brought up the example of where's my salute. This guy wasn't necessarily where's my salute, but he hadn't earned it either. And the problem is that he was in a station, he was in a position that required that responsibility upon his shoulders to earn the respect of those underneath him. But those underneath him didn't have the option of not paying him that respect. So
I agree.
This is a great, So this is a great position for Couladin and Savannah. because they are in positions that require that respect, but they are not earning that level of respect. So
wait, did we just bring it back to Aiel? To Wheel of Time?
We did. And my apologies. I know.
No, it was good.
Ebudari customs are
No, I just meant Wheel of Time in general.
Talonvor. No, you're right. We did it. It's all connected, guys. It's all
like a circle.
Wheel.
All right, but I actually would like to hear another one from Josh, and then we can go ahead and talk about Andrews from Chapter 8 of The Great Hunt.
Unless that is Josh.
So my Customs and Courtesies
is weirdly from Chapter 8 of the
No, the White Tower. I mean, who else? I mean, it's such a fun conversation to have, especially with respect to the Aiel, because the Aiel wise ones are like, well, this is how a wise one is, you know,
a wise
this is how we rank wise ones, you know, by G, how much G they have. And then the White Tower's like, oh no, it's definitely how much you can channel. Like 100% might makes right. Like that's how it is. And and the wise ones are like, what if the strongest channelers are dumbasses? And then the White Tower's like, no, none of us are dumbasses. We are the White Tower. We are Aes Sedai. But I love that
we don't do that.
The White Tower, even within the White Tower, they talk about if there is a disagreement between two sisters. Oh God, I got the hiccups. Woo. I can do this. I can do this. If there's a disagreement between two sisters, they can debate it, and if they can't come to a civil discourse, they will go out into the street and have a Wild West duel in which they channel as much as they possibly can in order to establish who is the stronger channeler. And therefore,
I'm gonna finger bang you. No, I'm gonna finger bang you.
And therefore,
you mean like the alchemists
in
duels in Full Metal Alchemist?
Kind of.
Did I just make the first anime reference of the episode
of the evening? Yes, well done.
We clap until the end of the episode. How
they also
don't do it. Please, God no.
They also discuss how foolish that is. First, how like absolutely. And secondly, if I can get rid of these hiccups, which I probably cannot.
I think that means you just have to chug some
also scenarios in which and I will do that after I get through this.
I love what's happening now. This is fantastic.
There are people who are able to channel less. I'll be right back.
Or Josh.
We're going to completely distract one.
Did we go into any specifics about the Ebudari marriage knives?
Not specific, no, and not specifically. To go into some specifics, I think that's a good idea. To go into some specifics about it, as far as just the history and whatnot, the intention behind the different things. There are, whether it is up,
the quote Boondock whether it is Saints.
Up. Yeah, there you go. Whether it is the
symbology.
Symbolism. The word you're looking for is
symbolism.
Yes, whether the blade is up or is down definitely has a big symbol, or whether the hilt is up or down, whichever one you want to look at. The pommel on the marriage knife is also important, and then the chain that the marriage knife is on will always have.
Well, it's more the hilt than the pommel. The jewels are on the hilt, not just the pommel.
Okay. You're right.
I got what you were getting at.
Yes. But the jewels that are on the hilt will signify children.
Yeah. You remember the colors and what they mean.
Big deal. I believe. You know what? No, I'm not going to go into that. I can't actually remember. I feel like one of them is black, but I don't actually remember for sure.
Black is one. And this is where we get into an interesting where some customs can have dual meanings because
agreed.
A white stone represents a male child and a red stone represents a female child.
Yeah.
But the color of the stones, so that's the stone itself.
Yes.
The setting around it, because you would think anything red just means female daughter. Female daughter. Oh, you get what I mean? But the setting indicates whether the child is still alive or not. And if not, generally the manner of their death. If the setting is red, they died in a duel. But if they died any other way, from what we know from the books, the setting is black.
That's what I was remembering, yeah.
But if there is a setting with no stone, it means that there was a child of age challenged to a duel and they refused it.
Yes.
They pry the stone out. And of course they wear these cut dresses in a way to expressly reveal the marriage knife. But do you remember the purpose overall of the marriage knife? Why they even have them to begin with?
Wasn't it so that they could murder their husband if they were bad? No.
I mean, essentially, yes. So the marriage knife was a gift from the husband to his wife. And by custom, the knife was to be used to stab the husband if he ever displeased his wife. Could you imagine living in Abu Dar? It was your turn to do the dishes. You didn't. You walk in and you're like Christopher Titus and you just get stabbed. And then when you're just like, you stabbed me. And she's like, well, ask yourself this question. What did you do to get stabbed?
I mean, to be completely fair, I know that I'm going to sound a little bit like a whipped husband here for a moment, but like, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
What was that?
That's about right.
What was that sitcom where the dude was like, his wife comes down and is like, I'm about to take a shower. Would you like to join me? And he's like, if you go in the garage, there's a locker. In that locker, there's a gun. If I ever say no to that question, I want you to use it on me.
Yes, exactly. Like, again, I mean, again, I'm not saying that the Abu Dari don't take it further than they necessarily need to, but also, if you're a husband and you're displeasing your wife, how about you fucking stop, you dickhole? Also, if you're a wife and you're displeasing your husband, same thing. I'm not saying that this isn't a two-way street, but like as a dude, like part of the vows you made when you got married was to not displease your wife. Just saying.
And it goes back to what we're talking about with position of here, responsibility of here, and as a person entering into such an agreement, you have to say, okay, I will not displease you, and the person who is holding on to that authority must use it responsibly. I would imagine that there is an unwritten sort of scenario in which if a woman stabs a dude because he didn't do the dishes, she's gonna be a widow for the rest of her life. Don't matter how old she is. Like,
right. Well, and of course, again, I also think
imagine too many men who would willingly enter into a scenario like that.
You just keep wearing all the knives from marriages. Like, is there somebody with like 10 knives? Which
they just have this like mantle over them. That's just like,
will motherfucker.
No, but also, okay, I do want to say out loud, real quick, and I know that this doesn't necessarily have to do with the topic, but now that we're talking about this, it is also, I think, very, very important to talk about the other side of that. And I think we have a couple of times, but when you're talking about an officer, when you're talking about a wife in Abu Dar, when you're talking about an Aiel clan chief, when you're talking about a wise one, there is a lot of power that is given to you based on those things. It is incredibly important, the power that you've been given and the things that you need to make decisions on based on that power. However, you are handed a lot of responsibility with that as well, because if you stab someone for not doing the dishes, you're probably not doing the right thing. You are absolutely within your rights to go ahead and do that, because they are understandably displeasing you as your wife by not doing the thing that you asked. However, there also does have to be a certain amount of responsibility that you take on that is not stabbing someone just for something minor like they didn't do the dishes. It actually needs to be to a certain level of stab worthy, if that makes sense. Because displeased is such a broad statement. Displeased is such a broad category. It's such a wide, it's such a thick topic, if you will.
So thick.
And so again, I love that. I love the customs and courtesies, and as we've talked about before, even without my military even without me having any military service, I know the difference between a good officer who actually earns the respect that they deserve and wields it appropriately versus an officer who just has respect.
Recording
because
a podcast. What are you doing?
Versus an officer who
everybody.
just has respect that they are given because they get respect rather than earning it. Hi, Sophie.
I gotta put a lock on that door.
I mean, you should put a handle on it.
She just comes in. She's just like, "What are you doing?"
Anyway, Andrew, you were going to bring up another one that I would love to hear from chapter 8 of The Great Hunt.
Well, Josh was trying to talk about the White Tower and was broken by hiccups.
That's also true. Did you actually have a statement that you wanted to finish? Because I would actually like to finish that. Okay.
I did, but
are the hiccups still
Don't
going?
have
You
to
just
be
want us to
something.
continue?
Yes.
Understood.
Okay.
Just keep going.
So I owe Josh an extra opinion in a future episode.
Sure.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, not a problem.
My last girlfriend turned into the moon. That's rough, buddy.
Yeah. So, chapter 8 of The Great Hunt. This is the chapter in which Rand has been spending the entirety of the previous 7 chapters trying to avoid an audience with the Amaryllis seat in Faldara, and has decidedly not been able to do so. And so this chapter essentially starts with Lan kind of coaching him
all of the
and then guiding him over to this. And so we get these things where you get these kind of borderlander traditions, these borderlander customs, where as Lan and Rand are walking to go meet with the Amaryllis seat, there are soldiers that randomly shout to Shar Valkyrie, to Shar Manetheren. And Rand is sitting there like, what the fuck's going on? And about the moment where Rand being distracted is an actual problem, Lan just snaps at him, cat crosses the courtyard, and Rand just instinctively assumes this like rigid but loose, arrogant but not arrogant kind of strut. And it starts this whole formulaic kind of way of Rand presenting himself to the summons to see the Amaryllis seat at Lan's direction. And yes, I actually did pull out the book for this because search as you may online is not easily accessible. Super.
Understood.
Because when he shows up, of course, Leanne, as the keeper at the time, is standing there waiting for somebody to answer the summons, and looks at Lan Gaidon, which is what the Aes Sedai formerly call warders, and asks him who he's brought and everything. And Rand responds. And he says, I am Rand al'Thor, son of Tam al'Thor of the 2 rivers, which was once Manetheren. As I have been summoned by the Amerlin seat, Leanne said so do I come. I stand ready. And Leanne just blinks and is like,
which motherfucker taught you all that shit to say?
Because, well, Lan is with him, and she looks, it doesn't respond to him yet, looks at Lan and is like, this is supposed to be a shepherd? Like, what fucking crack rocks are you smoking? Like, and I love Lan's response.
Old crack rocks, bro.
Yeah. And I love Lan's response because he simply says, he is a man, Leanne Sedai, no more, no less. We are what we are. And Leanne is essentially like, whatever, okay.
Swan will deal with you. I'm fucking done.
I love how she just like straight up dismisses it too, like fucking man.
Yeah. Yeah, because she says the world grows stranger every day. I suppose the blacksmith will wear a crown and speak in high chant. Wait.
Oh, fucking wait.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And then comes back, tells Rand that he can go in. Lan moves forward to go with him, and she says, not you. Moraine has another task for you, blah, blah. And the last thing Lan does is salute with, hand over heart that way, because my heart's on this side. And just says to Tishar Manethrin, which Rand is kind of like, what? He keeps going. And
I don't know what that means yet.
Yeah, so he stands before the Amerlin seat, who Leanne probably gave a bit of a warning to, because you never want to see the Amerlin seat caught off guard. Like, hey, I think Lan has taught him some shit on how to say, hey, I'm here. Because they're expecting Shepherd. Because Moraine has said he is Shepherd. But he does approach, and he drops to one knee, left hand on sword hilt, right fist pressed to the pattern rug, and bows his head. As you have summoned me, mother, so have I come. I stand ready. And Suwon, without missing a beat, just goes, do you now, boy? Which is hilarious.
Superhero lands in front of Suwon.
And so like she keeps calling him boy, and we already know why she's doing this. Tells him to stand so they can look at him. Then tells him to sit, boy. This will not be short. He says, thank you, but by your leave, mother, I will stand. The watch is not done. And then like Suwon automatically knows what's going on. Looks at Moraine and is like, have you been letting Lan talk to this guy?
Well, my favorite part of all of that that thing is that when you're first reading the book, you definitely think that Lan has taught him all of this stuff, and it does not unsuggest that. Like, it definitely, all of the things that are said definitely lead you to believe that. But after you find out all of the stuff that happens later, in every reread that I do, I feel like it's like 75% Lan, 25% lose.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that. Like,
so they continue and they do in between, because Varen is there. So Suwon as the Amerlin, Moraine, and Varen kind of have their discussion where they're talking about, who is he really? And Moraine just lays out this litany of stuff, these facts about Tam that Rand is like literally learning for the first time. He's like, well, and he's doing a really good job at keeping his face calm, because he's learning that Dad is not the Dad he knew. And because right then and there, he finds out that Dad was a legit fucking war fighting badass. And they go through, and then of course Suwon turns to Varen and is like, oh, the sword he's wearing, is it possible to tell if that is truly a power wrought or a Haramark blade? And Varen says they're a test, mother. And Suwon says, then take it and test it, daughter. And Rand, well, he did not like that one bit. And he grips the hilt hard, takes a step back, and says, my father gave this sword to me, and he says this very angrily, nobody is taking it from me. To which the Suwon says, so you have some fire in you besides whatever Lan put in, good. You will need it. And he says, I am what I am, mother.
Yes.
I stand ready for what comes. In which she reaffirms that Lan has been at you.
Which I also love how to that statement,
Yes.
she's already like, "Oh, do you now, motherfucker?" Like,
Yeah. So, I mean, the purpose of the exchange.
It's the Luke and Yoda scene. I'm
Oh,
not
very much.
afraid. You will be.
Yeah. So the whole purpose of the exchange is Lan is trying to arm Rand to present himself in the best, most honorable way possible. He's mixing in Blade Master customs. He's mixing in super heavily and mainly Borderlander customs for greeting the Almerlin Sea.
but then also Warder customs as well. Yes.
Yes. Which is what gives it away that Lan has been teaching him this kind of stuff and taught him what to say, which he taught him in a super quick time frame. We're talking like probably 30 to 45 minutes before the meeting happened. So all of this happens, and Suwon's entire response and her entire exchange and dialogue with Moraine and Varen is aimed at one thing: seeing if Rand can be goaded, if he can be prompted to anger, to natural human reaction outside of the formulaic. To basically see, is this really something you were just taught to say, or is this something that you have and you believe to your core? Which is such a huge thing with customs and courtesies, because you see it all the time in these like basic training videos where they're teaching troops to maintain military discipline. Don't laugh, don't smile, stare straight forward, keep your hands by your sides, and they will tell jokes. They will make absurd statements to see if they can get anybody to laugh. And then all of the drill instructors and sergeants pounce on them, and it's fucking hilarious because I don't have to deal with it anymore. But it just goes to show how important like customs and courtesies can be in setting the stage and the tone for an interaction, but also how much they can be used to see how ingrained these kind of things are with somebody, and how instantly certain customs and certain courtesies will tell you kind of where somebody is from or where they learned it from.
Yes. No, I like that a lot. Also, can I just say, I think I have discovered / created a new game for all of us who want to play at JordanCon, at WattCon, at all of the different things. And that is, you know how there are the games that are like Presidents or like Marco Polo or whatever, where you just like say a phrase and then people do things. I think that at some point, someone, and please again use this sparingly so that it's not obnoxious because we all want this to be a fun game. If somebody just yells "cat crosses the courtyard," everyone who's an Ashaman should just go ahead and
I love that
and assume a stance and take a few steps. That is, I don't know, arrogant, but also casual, but also formal, but also.
I picture it as like the quintessential model walk.
Yes. If you do blue steel while you're doing cat crosses the courtyard, you win. Better.
There is a custom in the Borderlands that I love, and I'm going to try and get through this without hiccuping too much.
Okay.
And we get to see it towards the end of the series, where there is a Borderlander fortress, and the dude who is in charge, and I can't remember names, the dude who is in charge of it, knowing it's their last stand, knowing Trollocs are about to overrun them, presents a sword to his son. It is the Borderlanders' custom of the first sword, and he receives his sword, and he's probably like 12 or 13, somewhere in that area. And at that point in time, they say, "You are a man, and now you must carry the sword with you to defend the keep." And I believe in the situation that he's even a little too young, but the guy's like, "I need everybody." Hey, guess what, kid? You're a man early. Grow up quick.
It's that Aragorn in Helm's Deep scene.
Yeah, it's really, it's a really powerful scene. It's a really emotional scene, and it takes into account, like, I actually believe as well that the dude was trying to raise morale to do as much damage to the shadow as possible.
Oh, 100%.
And so they made a big pomp and stance about it, and they were like, "Look, he's a man now. We have increased our ranks. We will defend the shadow. We will defend against the shadow. We will be awesome. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's also a bit of a like, look, this 12-year-old stands ready to fight the shadow, fangs bared. And so
Yes.
anybody that is like reached the appropriate age by their customs and is going into fight and sees this kid running in with a sword, they can't sit there and be like, I'm too scared, because literally little Timmy,
Unless you're a white cloak,
is swinging. I mean, yeah. But,
Wait,
but little
sorry.
Timmy's
Can we
sitting
call
here.
this the white cloak salute now? Is this the white cloak salute?
white cloak, hashtag white cloak salute.
Hashtag
rather
white
not.
cloak salute.
No, brother, I use it far too often to attach their name to it.
No.
And it
It's
comes
the
with like
salute-
implications.
No, it's the salute that you give to white cloaks.
Oh,
So
okay.
you can say that you're now giving it to all of those people who are white cloaks.
Oh, okay, so it's
Yeah.
it is the official salute to white
Yes,
cloaks.
not
Okay.
buys, not
Yes.
/4, but two white cloaks. Yeah. Also, can I just say that I love all of these customs and cultures, or courtesies, not cultures, customs and courtesies. All of these have been great. And I really appreciate learning more about what customs and courtesies actually means and things like that. Fucking land being brought from the Borderlands, from Malkir, like, holy shit, that's a hell of a tradition. That's a hell of a custom to do, when you know that you're not making it out to send your son away and be like, cool, you're king now, have fun in Faldara, you little person we're gonna make live through this. Like, yikes.
Imagine being given your first sword before you can take your first steps.
Right. Yikes.
Yeah.
But
But
now you've just made me want to give sword gifts to all of my
if I ever
to
get
anyone
married,
to anyone who ever has a child around me, I'll be like, cool, here's your gift of a sword.
but couldn't that hurt
Have
him?
fun learning
Yes,
to walk.
it would be
That
a
will
lesson.
also be a lesson.
Yeah. Dude, all of my groomsmen, if I ever get married, they're getting swords or something like that. That's an idea for right now until I think of something different or forget it. But as
say
we're
we
wrapping
all?
these-
So say we all.
cool. As we're closing out, just because I want to do this, because Critter does a fantastic job at pointing out her bookstore finds. And on this last trip to
Okay.
Jacksonville I did this past weekend, we wound up going to the mall, and there's a Barnes and Noble. So
Nice.
out of pure curiosity to see what variants of the Wheel of Time books they were selling, which by the way are the normal just different colored book covers with the Wheel of Time logo on it, and then also the more, I can only think of workbooks to describe the dimensions of them,
Okay.
with the ebook covers on them. I spied
With your little eye.
with my little eye a hardcover copy of The Gathering Storm.
Okay.
And what caught my eye the most was the fact that it was not using any newer art. It is the original art.
Okay.
So my first thought was reprint. Somebody reprinted the sleeve of the original art.
No.
So I
they
checked the
didn't.
back and saw that the book list stopped at the Great Hunt.
boy.
Yes.
And I started to get excited, and I opened it.
Yes.
And the first thing I noticed, this
Title page, show us the goods.
well, I will. That's for last. But
Mm.
I went over to the copyright page, and it is a first edition, November 2009.
Keep going. Keep going.
And though it is not the
I'm
ultimate
almost there.
satisfaction,
I'm almost there.
it is the second most ultimate satisfaction, because it is one of the stamped, signed.
Yes.
Oh,
It's
Daddy.
very, very nice.
Robert Jordan.
Oh,
So
Excellent.
Awesome.
I now have a stamped signed copy of The Gathering Storm, which is a lot of people's favorite book. It's not mine.
I mean, Fires of Heaven is Andrew's.
Yes, and that one I've already shown before, and that one isn't
Yes, it
stamp
is.
signed. That one is hand signed.
There you
So,
go.
At least according to the buyer I bought it from. But
Wait. The other question is, as soon as you get a chance, will you also get it signed by Avienda?
Fires of Heaven?
Yes.
Oh, I love the idea, but it would have to be a book insert because I can't take an original signed copy, hardcover copy of Fires of Heaven and do. I can't do that to it.
Fair. Fair.
But a book insert.
Now the book
signed,
insert,
definitely.
will you get Avienda and Rand to sign it?
I would prefer if they both signed it, and if I can get the
Nice.
Igloo to sign it as well, that would be fantastic.
I love it.
The TV cover copy of Fires of Heaven. Yeah, when that comes out, I'm definitely getting it because it will
course.
happen. But as that quick aside, any final thoughts on generically the Wheel of Time Customs and Courtesies? We talked about 3 really briefly, really quick. There's an
I
entire.
think we talked about more than 3, but yes.
Yeah. Well, apparently my main word for the day is litany because I've used it about 37 times.
A cornucopia of fruit flavors.
Yeah, there's a whole cacophony
There we go.
Cornucopia.
of customs and
A
courtesies.
cara cornucopia?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, I like that.
Yes.
There's a whole carrot corn amount. But in general, let's get some final thoughts, and let's start with Daniel.
Well, I would just say that again. I really love that you. I mean, this is true even outside of customs and courtesies, but it is definitely still a statement that makes sense with this particular subject. I really love that Robert Jordan did a very, very good job of taking very real human experience, as well as military service, as well as just his own personal life history, and wrapping them all up into a story that feels amazing to read, regardless of which one of those you resonate with higher. So you end up with the situation of military personnel can latch on to certain things. Veterans can latch on to certain things. Civilians can latch on to certain things. Southerners can latch on to certain things. All of these different ideas and understandings really shine very, very well through the books. And I know that we've said it before, but he's a genius. He was a genius, and I think that he was, again, while I absolutely respect his military service to the nth degree, I wish he had started writing earlier, because he clearly had an incredible talent for it, and I wish that we could have seen what he could do with even more than just what he wrote. However, I will always be thankful for what he did write. I will always be thankful for what he did actually get to us and give to us. And in the end, as far as the customs and courtesies go, I think that he was a master at using the ones that he knew, using the ones that he thought were important, and creating new ones that he thought were cool. And in the end, I learned a lot more about customs and courtesies and about being a man in some ways, and not toxic masculinity, but just being a man from the Wheel of Time in the best possible way than I think I did out of a lot of other different mediums that could have necessarily been where I learned those things, by having been blessed by being able to read the Wheel of Time when I did. And that's my final thoughts, and I will hand it over to Josh.
I dig it. I think I'm finally past my hiccups, so I might be able to get through this. Okay. I was just talking about this earlier with the Crystal Barista. So go to thecrystalbarista.com, check that out because it's awesome. And we were talking about perspectives and point of views from book 1 all the way through the rest of the series. And it's interesting because it was something that I hadn't really thought of prior to this, because she mentioned how small and basic the world was and how kind of unappealing it was. And I was like, that's the point though. The point is that they came from a small, unappealing backwater place, and then the world just explodes into this huge cornucopia of cultures and languages and customs and traditions and all these different things that the Emmonsfield Five, God, we love them, but they're not prepared. They're not. And, just us talking about this, guys, we can do this episode for 4 hours. I mean,
I might be surprised if we run
comment below if you think we need to do a part 2 on this, because we absolutely could. And the thing with the Customs and Courtesies, Robert Jordan did the most amazing job of writing well thought out, well established cultures throughout the different lands and countries that we see. And it was absolutely, I think part of the genius in these books is leaving the reader scratching their head going, huh? When it comes to Aiel, but also, huh? When it comes to Ebu Dar, but also, huh? When it comes to the Shanshan, also, huh? When it comes to the Two Rivers. Like, it's if you're not from that place, you always get a bit of, huh? What's going on here?
Correct.
And Robert Jordan did the most amazing job of doing that. So even if there's one culture that you can identify with, there's 15 others that you're like, I have no idea what they're doing. And I absolutely love it. I love it. The even the small details of don't wear your hood up on your cloak in the Borderlands. Amazing. Just absolutely amazing. It's everyday.
That's a matter of
life
national security.
But it's stupid. But it's stupid and insulting for other people who come there. They're like,
is that the shadow?
It's raining, dickhead.
Is that the Dark Friends Act? Or the
final thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Customs and Courtesies were the shadow. Final thought on Customs and Courtesies of the Wheel of Time is that I think Robert Jordan did an amazing job.
Make the Borderlands shadowless again.
Creating. I would say this. Oh, you son of a bitch.
I get a sword with make the Borderlands shadow spawn
Robert Jordan
or shadowless again etched into the blade, because that sounds amazing.
Yes. Robert Jordan is to cultures as Tolkien is to language.
Yes. Oh, fuck yes.
I thought you were going to say like trees.
That's my final thought.
I mean, that also too. Not wrong, but like also.
It's not wrong because it's inaccurate. It's just wrong because it's not what you meant.
2 different Elvish languages and a Dwarven language, and just whatever.
How'd it go? No, wait, no.
I said what I said.
Yeah.
How about that, Legolas?
I mean, as
I will die as one of them. Fuck, wrong language.
I mean, I feel like Matt says that all the time. Skull somebody like, shit, wrong language. That was all tongue. My bad.
What language are we speaking, Horn Sounder?
Shit.
As much as we make a bunch of jokes about like some of the ludicrousy and just over the topness, which is saying the same thing essentially again about customs and courtesies in the military.
Ludicrous speed.
Yeah. Get the fuck out of here, Spaceballs. Fucking Rick Moranis, Jesus Christ.
Oh, Rick Moranis.
Oh, that'd be great. Rick Moranis as Jesus Christ
He's
superstar.
Such a good guy, though. Rick is actually a longtime fan of the show. So, Rick, if you'd like to come on and defend your position.
Yeah. But as much of a hard time as I know I give Customs and Courtesies, I make a lot of things like from my time in the military sound a lot worse than they actually were. Customs and Courtesies were weren't actually all that bad. They served a purpose. They helped enforce like structure and order in the military, which is definitely what you need in any military service, regardless of what nation or peoples are a part of it. As proven by the American Revolution, we were doing terribly, and then a French commander came in and wrote the Blue Book for the Continental Army and started forcing drills, and it's that rigidity, that structure, that formulaic response. I almost made a joke that I'm not going to make. I'll tell you guys after recording. Remind me.
Will do.
Yeah, but it's what makes a fighting force effective when we think about military style customs and courtesies. But when you start looking around at how people do things in their day-to-day lives, yeah, that was Lafayette that wrote the Blue Book. Not to be confused with Operation Blue Book that investigated UFOs, which there's a whole hearing on that now. So go watch that because it could be interesting.
Different, completely different,
completely different.
Completely.
Customs and courtesies, a lot of the times, to some extent, define regions and cultures. It is at the center of the debate over like the use of pronouns and people respecting people's preferred pronouns and people giving validity to individuals' gender identity and things like that. These things are all part of cultures or customs and courtesies. Definitely, yes, part of cultures. But these things evolve, and you can look at the formulaic cultures or every time customs and courtesies to kind of disseminate and discern what makes a culture a culture. We joked about it earlier, the whole real Southern aspect of, honey, you can come in and have iced tea. It was very quintessentially Southern because it sounds like a Southern custom. It sounds like a Southern courtesy that is predicated on somebody. I mean, it definitely is. On people acting a certain way with a certain level of respect, which I can 100% believe was Robert Jordan's inspiration for how Leanne responded.
Mm-hmm.
But these things are intrinsically more important in our everyday lives than people realize. And there's things that you do every day that are part of customs and courtesies of whatever nation or area of the nation you live in that make up why you do a lot of, or a fair amount of the things you do. So looking at how it's done in the Wheel of Time in a different world where the circumstances are different, the reasons are different, everything is different. I think it's just incredibly inherently fascinating because it's all inspired by stuff that Robert Jordan experienced in real life. And of course, things that Brandon Sanderson experienced in real life when we get to the last 3 books. So, but yeah, there's just so much of it that, yeah, we could do an Elaine's worth of episodes on it. So we won't. We're not doing 5 episodes on this, at least not back to back.
But we could.
Well, and again, I think that I'm going to make one more final thought in response to yours, because I think that it's very important to say.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I was done.
I appreciate that. Is that, again, one of the reasons that we keep coming back to this series, one of the reasons that we have a podcast that is designed around this series, one of the reasons that we keep calling Robert Jordan a genius is not just because overall he's a good writer. That's part of it. Not because overall he is actually a very good world builder. That's part of it. But because you can do an Elaine level of episodes about almost everything. There is so much that is packed into this book series that it is kind of mind-boggling. We have over 150 episodes, and we could still do 150 more about all of the topics that we've already done. But we don't even need to. We just keep on coming up with new topics to go ahead and do episodes about. And really, again, that is... It's not all tied to customs and courtesies. It's not all tied to cultures. It's not all tied to world building. But when it comes right down to it, that is why we are so focused on this series. That is why we keep calling Robert Jordan genius, is because there is so much meat in this series, and we continue to eat well on the meat in this series.
And we will chew upon it. I love
Yeah.
that.
We
will
That
chew
was-
upon the
and we
succulent
continue
brisket.
to eat well.
And we will continue to eat well. And we hope that you continue to enjoy us being able to eat well from the series.
There's another joke I can't make. Anyway,
Thank you.
but you know what else is an
We will
enormous courtesy?
continue to go down on the Wheel of Time, the series, and we will continue to eat
Go
well.
down and eat well.
But you know what else
Continue
is
to
a
go
tremendous?
down, eat well.
I am uneasy.
Let's all find North Harbor together.
We're gonna fight if we're both looking for North Harbor in the same place at the same time.
I mean, there are multiple Tarvalons.
find your own North Harbor. But you know what else is courteous? Whenever you're
you.
out with friends, whenever you're out at work,
I
whenever
love
you're
you so
chatting
much also.
with other people about the Wheel of Time, being energized for the conversation. Very short again. Check out link below for 10% off. W.gg. This is their new flavor, Beach and Peach. It is fantastic.
New
I highly
flavor of
recommend it to
Dubby.
you, especially if you like peaches and pina coladas and getting caught
If
in the
you like
rain.
pina colada and smacking a peach.
But go check it out. Every time you use our discount code BTP or you use the link that automatically does the discount code for you, it does go and help support what we do here at the podcast. And it does help what Dubby does in supporting energy, generalist energy, as well as a ton of gamers and other people across the internet that do some amazing things. We wouldn't recommend it if we hadn't tried it and honestly really liked the product. So, which is why I should definitely get on reading the finer details of that Amazon, not Amazon, of that Adam and Eve stuff.
Definitely beat pals.
Right? That's fair.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But
definitely fish sticks on Tuesday.
yeah. But that's going to do it for us today. We hope that you enjoy the episode. We hope that you enjoy the new layout. Last week may look a little different from this week. We don't know because there may be some changes because that change was made after recording.
Let us know.
And there may be some changes in the meantime, but hopefully you'll like the new layout of the videos a bit more. If you're listening live, don't worry. You will get to see that at 9 o'clock in the morning because I'm definitely not trash at meeting editing deadlines. But hopefully you enjoyed it.
YouTube to see it. Go to our YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube.
Yeah, go to YouTube. Do subscribe. We are at 555. We hit triple nickel subscribers, so we're hoping to push that up even further. And
Those
the more
are
we get
rookie
on that,
numbers. We got to push those numbers up.
Yeah. And so the more of those we get, the easier. Not all live listeners. Sorry, if you are of the sufficient tier to get early access. Otherwise, it'll be out.
Yes.
For those of you listening live, it's going to be out this Friday, the 20th. Maybe I'll remember to edit that part out of the episode. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Probably not.
Leave
But
it in so they know what
enough
they're
of all
missing out
that.
on.
We've kept you here long enough. We're almost at a 2-hour long-ish episode from all of us here at the Black Tower podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I have been Andrew, your Bajan Mahil.
I have been Josh, your Sorovan Mahil.
And I have been Daniel, your Aman Khan Mahal. And again, from all of us here at the Black Tower, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. We hope that you are having a wonderful day, a wonderful morning. And in case we don't see you again, good afternoon.
Great success.
Okay. Good night. We hope that you're having a good morning, great afternoon,
A great
success.
You've been having so much trouble just fitting